Alright, let's talk about something you probably haven't thought about since you found a sticky penny in your car's cup holder. Coins. Specifically, Saudi Arabian coins. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, why on earth should I care about Saudi coins? I can barely keep track of my own quarters. And that's a fair point. But stick with me, because the history of a country's money is like a tiny, metallic, pocket-sized history book. It tells you who was in charge, what they cared about, and how much a loaf of bread, or, a camel, might have cost. It's a fascinating story of power, identity, and a surprising amount of palm trees. The story of Saudi coins is the story of Saudi Arabia itself. It's a journey from ancient trade routes, through empires, to the formation of a modern kingdom built on a truly staggering amount of oil. Each little piece of metal is a snapshot of its time. You can see the shift from Ottoman influence to a fierce declaration of Arab identity. You can track the country's economic booms and the reigns of its kings, all by looking at what's jangling in people's pockets. It's a physical timeline you can hold in your hand, which is frankly more interesting than a dusty textbook, and far less likely to give you a paper cut. Think of it this way. Every time a new ruler comes along, they can't resist the urge to put their face, or at least their name, on the money. It's the ultimate I'm in charge now move. And in Saudi Arabia, where the monarchy is central to everything, the coins are a masterclass in royal branding. From the earliest, crudely stamped pieces to the sleek, modern coins of today, we see a nation defining and redefining itself. So, this isn't just about numismatics, which is a fancy word for coin collecting that people use to sound smart at parties. This is about understanding a kingdom, one riyal, one church, one halala at a time. So, for the next few minutes, we're going on an adventure. We're diving into the history of a place many Americans only know for sand and oil, but which has a rich, complex story stamped right onto its currency. We'll look at coins that predate the country itself, see how they evolved under different rulers, and discover what the latest shiny pieces tell us about the future of the kingdom. It's a story with more twists and turns than you'd expect from a bunch of metal discs. And who knows, by the end, you might just look at the change in your pocket a little differently. Probably not, but hey, it's worth a shot. Long before anyone had heard of a Saudi Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula was a bustling crossroads for ancient civilizations. Think of it as the original international airport, but with more camels and fewer Cinnabons. Because it was a major hub for trade routes connecting Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley, all sorts of foreign money passed through. The earliest coins found in the region weren't locally made, they were the pocket change of traveling merchants. We're talking Greek drachmas, Roman denarii, and Persian segloi. These coins were the universal language of commerce, a way for a guy selling frankincense in Yemen to get paid by a guy buying it for a temple in Athens. As time went on, local powers in the region started thinking, hey, why are we using other people's money? Let's make our own. This led to the minting of coins that were basically knockoffs of popular foreign currency. For example, you had the Himyarite kingdom in what is now Yemen, who produced coins that looked suspiciously like Athenian owls, but maybe a bit less wise and a bit more abstract. These early imitations were a crucial step. They showed that local rulers had enough power and economic stability to say, we're a big deal now. We have our own money. It looks a lot like your money, but it's ours. The Nabateans, famous for carving the city of Petra into a rock face, were also big players in the coin game. Their kingdom, which stretched into the northern part of modern-day Saudi Arabia, minted its own beautiful silver and bronze coins. These featured portraits of their kings and queens, a clear statement of sovereignty. Unlike the earlier imitations, these coins had their own distinct style and inscriptions in the Nabatean script. They weren't just for buying and selling, they were a form of propaganda, projecting the image of a strong, independent kingdom that was very much open for business. So, before the first Saudi state even existed, the Arabian Peninsula had a long and storied history with currency. It was a melting pot of different monetary systems, a place where you could find a Roman coin next to a local imitation of a Greek one. This period laid the groundwork for everything that came after. It established the importance of coinage not just as an economic tool, but as a symbol of power, identity, and control. The idea that having your own money meant you were in charge was a lesson that future rulers of the peninsula would take very, very seriously. Fast forward a few centuries, and much of the Arabian Peninsula, particularly the western region known as the Hijaz, fell under the influence of a new superpower, the Ottoman Empire. And when an empire takes over, one of the first things it does is make sure everyone is using its money. This is rule number 1 in the How to Empire handbook. So, for hundreds of years, from the 16th century onward, the dominant currency in cities like Mecca and Medina was the Ottoman kursh. These coins were minted in Istanbul or Cairo and shipped down to Arabia, a constant, jangling reminder of who was really in charge. The Ottoman coins were a far cry from the local currencies of the past. They were part of a massive, standardized imperial system. The designs were all about celebrating the Sultan. You'd find the Sultan's tukra, a ridiculously fancy calligraphic monogram of his name and title, dominating one side of the coin. It was like a royal signature, but way more artistic and impossible to forge. The other side would typically state the mint location and the year of the Sultan's reign. There were no pictures of people or animals in keeping with Islamic tradition, just elegant script and symbols of imperial power. However, things got interesting during World War I. The Ottoman Empire was crumbling, and the British were keen to, shall we say, encourage Arab leaders to revolt. One of these leaders was Sharif Hussein bin Ali, the ruler of the Hijaz. In 1916, he declared independence, and, to prove he was serious, he started minting his own coins. This was a huge deal. It was a monetary declaration of war. He issued a series of gold dinars and silver riyals, an act that was as much about politics as it was about economics. These are now known as the Hijaz Revolt coins. These new Hijaz coins were designed to look completely different from the Ottoman ones. Instead of the Sultan's tukra, they featured inscriptions like King of the Arab countries and verses from the Quran. The coins were crudely struck, often on whatever metal was available, but their message was crystal clear. The Ottomans are out, and we are in. This short-lived kingdom of Hijaz didn't last long. It was conquered by Abdulaziz ibn Saud in 1925. But its coins represent a pivotal moment. They were a symbol of Arab nationalism and a direct precursor to the currency of the modern Saudi state. Before the slick, modern kingdom of Saudi Arabia we know today, there were 2 earlier attempts at forming a Saudi state. Think of them as the pilot episodes of a series that eventually got picked up. The first Saudi state, established in the mid-18th century, was more of a religious and political movement than a centralized nation with a snazzy mint. As a result, they didn't really produce their own distinctive coins. Instead, they mostly relied on the foreign currencies that were already floating around, like the widely accepted Maria Theresa thaler, a big silver coin from Austria that was, for some reason, the US dollar of its day in the region. The first Saudi state's main focus was on spreading its interpretation of Islam, not on monetary policy. They did, however, occasionally counterstamp existing coins. This involved taking a foreign coin, like that Austrian thaler or an Ottoman kursh, and stamping a small Arabic word like Najd, the central region of Arabia, or a religious phrase onto it. It was a low-budget way of saying, this coin is now circulating in our territory and under our authority. It was less about creating a new currency and more about rebranding the old one. It was a practical, if not particularly glamorous solution for a state that was still finding its feet. The second Saudi state, which emerged in the mid-19th century after the first one was crushed by the Ottomans, took things a step further. They actually attempted to mint their own coins, which is a major upgrade. These were very basic, crudely made copper coins. Forget about fancy portraits or intricate designs. These coins were often irregularly shaped and had simple inscriptions, usually just the name of the ruler and the mint location, like Riyadh. They weren't pretty, but they were significant. It was the first time a ruler from the House of Saud had put their name on their own, locally produced currency. These early Saudi coins were not widely circulated and were mostly used for local transactions. For any serious, large-scale trade, people still trusted the big silver foreign coins. The local copper pieces were more for buying everyday goods in the local market. Think of them as the 19th century equivalent of paying for your coffee with exact change. Despite their limited use and rough appearance, these coins are incredibly important to the story. They represent the first fragile steps toward monetary independence and statehood, a bold declaration of local authority that laid the groundwork for the unified kingdom that was to come. In 1925, Abdulaziz ibn Saud, the man who would become the first king of Saudi Arabia, conquered the Hijaz region. This was the final piece of the puzzle. Now in control of the holy cities and the most economically active part of the peninsula, he faced a problem: a monetary mess. You had old Ottoman coins, Hijaz revolt coins, Indian rupees, and British sovereigns all being used at the same time. It was chaos. So, one of the first things he did was to create a unified currency for his new domain, which was then called the Kingdom of Hijaz and Nejd. This was a critical step in turning a collection of conquered territories into a single, cohesive state. The first official coins of this new kingdom were issued in 1925. They were a clever blend of old and new. The denominations were based on the old Hijaz system, with the base unit being the silver Riyal, which was divided into 22 kirsh. This was a smart move, as it provided some continuity for the people in the newly conquered region. The design, however, was all new. The coins prominently featured the name Abdulaziz Al Saud and his title, King of the Hejaz and Sultan of Nejd. The Ottoman Tughra was gone for good, replaced by the unmistakable brand of the House of Saud. These early coins were made of silver and cupro nickel. The 1 Riyal coin was a hefty piece of silver, modeled after the British Indian rupee in weight and size to make it more acceptable in international trade. The smaller denominations included the half Riyal, quarter Riyal, and various kirsh coins. The design was simple but powerful: crossed swords, a palm tree, and bold Arabic script. This iconography would become the foundation of Saudi national identity, appearing on flags, emblems, and, of course, money for decades to come. It was a visual declaration of the new kingdom's values: justice, the swords, and prosperity, the palm tree. Then, in 1932, Abdulaziz officially unified his realms and declared the formation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And with a new name for the country, came a new name on the coins. The currency issued from 1935 onward proudly proclaimed the title, King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He also decimalized the currency, making the Riyal equal to 20 kirsh instead of 22, because really, who has time for weird numbers like 22? This new series, including the first Saudi gold sovereign, solidified the monetary system and announced to the world that a new, unified, and powerful nation had arrived on the scene. When King Abdulaziz died in 1953, his son, Saud bin Abdulaziz, took the throne. And, as is tradition, a new king means new money. King Saud's reign saw the introduction of a whole new series of coins, and more importantly, the first Saudi banknotes. But let's stick to the coins for now. The initial coins under King Saud looked a lot like his father's, keeping the classic palm tree and crossed swords emblem. The only major change was swapping his father's name for his own, Saud bin Abdulaziz. It was the monetary equivalent of changing the name on the mailbox after you move into a new house. A simple but necessary update. However, King Saud's reign was a period of massive spending and economic instability, fueled by the first gushes of oil wealth. This led to a major currency reform in 1960. The old system of kirsh was scrapped entirely. A new, modern, and much simpler decimal system was introduced. The Saudi Riyal was now divided into 100 smaller units called halalas. This was a huge change, bringing the Saudi currency system in line with most other countries around the world. The new coins were issued in denominations of 1, 5, 10, 25, and 50 halalas, and they were smaller and made of cheaper metals like bronze and cupro nickel. In 1964, King Saud was succeeded by his brother, King Faisal. Faisal was a reformer who inherited an economy in trouble and worked to stabilize it. His accession, of course, meant another round of new coins. The design remained largely the same. You don't mess with a classic like the palm tree and swords. But the name on the coins changed to Faisal bin Abdulaziz. This series of coins, first issued in 1963, while he was still crown prince and prime minister, and then updated after he became king, would become the familiar pocket change for a generation of Saudis. The Faisal-era coins are significant because they represent a period of stability and modernization. The 100 halala system was cemented, and the coins became a consistent and reliable part of daily life as Saudi Arabia transformed into a major player on the world stage. The coins from this period, particularly the 1, 5, and 10 halala pieces, were workhorses. They were used for everything from buying bread to tipping waiters. They are a tangible link to the era when the foundations of the modern Saudi economy were being carefully laid, piece by metallic piece. After King Faisal's tragic assassination in 1975, his brother Khalid bin Abdulaziz became king. And you know the drill by now, new king, new coins. The coins issued during King Khalid's reign, which began in 1977, kept the same denominations and the beloved palm tree and crossed swords emblem. The only thing that changed was the name, which now read Khalid bin Abdulaziz. It was a seamless transition, reflecting a desire for continuity and stability during a difficult time for the nation. These coins circulated during the peak of the 1970s oil boom, a time when Saudi Arabia's wealth and global influence were exploding. This was the era of big money. With oil prices soaring, the Saudi economy was flooded with cash. While the small halala coins were still used for everyday purchases, the real action was with the banknotes. However, the coins from Khalid's time are a humble reminder of the foundations of that wealth. They were the small change of an economic giant. Interestingly, the kingdom also issued special commemorative coins during this period, such as those marking the beginning of a new Islamic century. These coins showed a growing confidence in using currency not just for trade, but to celebrate national and religious milestones. In 1982, King Khalid passed away and was succeeded by his brother, Fahd bin Abdulaziz. King Fahd's reign was long, lasting until 2005, and it was a period of immense development and challenges, including the First Gulf War. The coins of the Fahd era are perhaps the most recognizable to people familiar with modern Saudi Arabia. Once again, the design was updated to include his name, Fahd bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. This series of coins, from the little one halala to the 100 halala coin, which was essentially a 1 Riyal coin, became the standard currency for over 2 decades. The Fahd series is notable for its longevity. For more than 20 years, these were the coins that Saudis used every day. They saw the country through massive infrastructure projects, the rise of modern cities, and the digital revolution. The coins themselves didn't change much, but the country around them changed dramatically. This consistency in coinage provided a sense of stability through turbulent times. By the end of Fahd's reign, however, the smallest denominations like the 1 and 5 halala coins had become practically obsolete due to inflation, a common fate for the smallest members of any currency family. When King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz ascended to the throne in 2005, the kingdom was ready for a change, and so was its currency. While the banknotes were quickly updated with the new king's portrait, the coins took a little longer. For the first several years of his reign, the old King Fahd coins continued to circulate. It wasn't until 2007 that a new, but very limited series of coins bearing King Abdullah's name was introduced. This series was almost identical to the Fahd series, just with a name swap. The denominations of 5, 10, 25, and 50 halalas were minted, but not in huge numbers. The real monetary action during King Abdullah's reign was happening behind the scenes. The Saudi Arabian Monetary Agency, now the Saudi Central Bank, was planning a complete overhaul of the nation's currency. The old coins were looking dated, and the smaller values were barely used. The economy had grown, and the currency needed to catch up. This period was more about planning for the future than it was about circulating new coins. It was a time of transition, setting the stage for the most significant change in Saudi coinage in over 50 years. A notable release during this period was a new bimetallic 1 Riyal coin. Issued in 1999, near the end of King Fahd's reign, but widely circulated during Abdullah's time, this coin was a big deal. It was larger than the old 100 halala coin and featured a bronze-colored center ringed by steel, making it look much more modern and substantial. This coin was issued to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the capture of Riyadh by Abdulaziz ibn Saud, a key event in the founding of the kingdom. It was a sign of things to come, a test run for a more modern and visually interesting style of coinage. So, the era of King Abdullah can be seen as a bridge between the old and the new. It was a time when the familiar coins of the late 20th century were still jingling in people's pockets, but the plans for a radical redesign were well underway. The kingdom was on the cusp of a major transformation under the banner of economic diversification and social reform, and it was clear that the nation's money would need a fresh look to match its new ambitions. The stage was set for a complete currency makeover, one that would arrive with the next monarch. In 2015, King Salman bin Abdulaziz took the throne, and a year later, he unveiled Saudi Vision 2030, an incredibly ambitious plan to diversify the economy away from oil and modernize the country. To go along with this bold new vision, the kingdom needed bold new money. In 2016, the Saudi Central Bank introduced the sixth series of Saudi currency, which was a complete and total redesign of both banknotes and coins. This wasn't just a name change, it was a fundamental reinvention of what Saudi money looked and felt like. The old coins were out, and a stunning new set was in. The new series is a masterpiece of modern minting. It includes 7 denominations, 1, 5, 10, 25, and 50 halalas, plus brand new 1 and 2 Riyal coins. The tiny 1 halala coin, previously a forgotten bronze piece, is now a shiny steel coin. The 5, 10, and 25 halala coins are bronze-plated, giving them a warm, coppery look. But the real stars of the show are the higher values. The 50 halala coin is nickel-plated, and the new 1 Riyal and 2 Riyal coins are beautiful bimetallic pieces, with a brass-colored center and a cupro nickel outer ring. This is the first time a 2 Riyal coin has ever been issued, reflecting a modern, growing economy. The design is also a radical departure. One side of every coin features a stunningly detailed portrait of King Salman bin Abdulaziz, marking the first time a monarch's effigy has appeared on regular circulating Saudi coins since the very early days of the kingdom. This is a massive shift, aligning Saudi currency with the practice of many other monarchies worldwide. The other side still features the classic national emblem of the palm tree and crossed swords, but it's rendered in a sleeker, more modern style. The coins are a perfect metaphor for Vision 2030, honoring tradition while embracing a modern, global image. This new currency is more than just money, it's a statement. The introduction of high-value coins like the 1 and 2 Riyal pieces is designed to encourage people to use coins instead of small denomination banknotes, which is more cost-effective and durable in the long run. The high-tech design and security features reflect a technologically advanced nation. In every way, these shiny new coins are a physical manifestation of the new Saudi Arabia. Forward-looking, globally minded, and unapologetically ambitious. They are the pocket change for a kingdom in the midst of a historic transformation and a fitting end to a long and fascinating monetary journey.